Start with prayer. Let us remember that we're in the holy presence of a loving God. And today, let's remember all of the essential employees who have to leave and go to work every day, even though they're risking their health. Does anybody else have any intentions this morning? You can say them or you can type them. If there are no other intentions, St. John Baptist de La Salle, pray for us, which is in our hearts forever. Okay, so the topic that we've been working on is the subjunctive, and we're kind of chugging along. Some of us seem to understand it, some of us seem to not understand it. So we're just going to continue with that same topic today. And I want you guys to make sure you have something to write on, something to write with, because we're going to talk today about impersonal expressions. So, hoy es el 31 de marzo y el tema de hoy son las expresiones impersonales que requieren el subjuntivo. Bueno, expresiones impersonales que requieren el subjuntivo. So we did talk about what the subjunctive is and what it's used for, but I just want to clarify that one more time. So the subjunctive is a tense that's used to talk about things that may or may not happen, but it's also used to talk about basically asking someone to do something without saying it directly. So saying it's important that we take notes is similar but different from me saying take notes. I'm still getting the same message across, but it's a little bit more gentle. Okay, so that's what the subjunctive is. The impersonal expressions that we're going to use, all of these following ones require the subjunctive, all of them. So, es bueno o malo que. I gave the English meanings of the ones that I didn't think you guys were going to know, but if you don't know the ones that don't have English meanings, please stop me and tell me so that I can give them to you. Okay, so es bueno o malo que. Es dudoso que. Es importante que. Es imposible o es posible que. Es posible que o es imposible que. Es mejor que. Es necesario que. Es raro que. Es terrible que. Es una lástima que. Es urgente que. No es cierto que. No es seguro que. Oh. All right, so as you guys can see, all of these phrases indicate a doubt that the thing that comes next is true. It could happen, it could not happen. So it's doubtful that, it's impossible that, it's possible that, it's necessary that, it's urgent that. A lot of those things indicate that the thing that comes next may or may not happen. And the other ones, like bueno or malo, or importante, or terrible, or necesario, or raro, all of those other ones indicate that the person who's speaking feels that way. So, do you guys know the difference between subjective and objective? Subjective and objective.
Subjective is like a person.
Kind of. Subjective is dependent on the person who's speaking. So it's kind of like saying that it's based on their opinion. So, in my opinion, it's terrible that the coronavirus is so widespread. A lot of people share that opinion, but some people might not. So because it's opinion based, we call that subjective. Objective would mean that it's inherently true, like the earth revolves around the sun. Everyone knows that's true as an objective fact. So no one can argue with it. Okay, so if there's any doubt, or if it's based on the person who's speaking's opinion, we have to use the subjunctive, which kind of sounds like subjective, so it's a good way to remember it. Okay, a few phrases that do not use the subjunctive that we think might are these two. So these do not use the subjunctive. Creo que, yo creo que, and yo pienso que. And that has to do with, even though to us they sound like opinions, I believe that or I think that, the person who's speaking has no doubt that what they say is true because they think and they believe it. So it's true for the person who's speaking. This is a really confusing thing, but if you see these two phrases, yo creo que or yo pienso que, don't use a subjunctive, just use the regular present tense. Are we following along? I'm not seeing anything in the chat, or I'm not really hearing too many questions.
It's too early.
I know, but as long as we're following along, it's okay. Okay, thank you, John, too. All right, so here we go. I also want to take a side note to this verb haber, which we have seen a bunch of times, but we haven't focused too much on. It's really an important verb. It's what's called an auxiliary verb because it helps us to say other things. Auxiliary just means helpful, helping. So in the present tense, it looks like, oh, sorry, this is what it means. To be as in to exist. In the present tense, it looks like I, meaning there is or there are. And we've used this word a bunch of times. So I could say, ahora hay 18 personas que participan en la clase. Right now, there are 18 people that participate in the class. So it means to be as in to be in existence, like there exist right now. In the preterite, it looks like hubo, and it means there was or there were. There was or there were. In the imperfect, it looks like había, and it means there used to be. And in the present subjunctive, which we're studying right now, it means haya, like that there be, which sounds very odd in English, but we could say, es una lástima que no haya escuela. It's a shame that there is no school. And that's my opinion, but not everyone might agree with it, which is why we use a subjunctive there. So, es una lástima que no haya escuela. Okay, we just had a few examples. And if nobody has questions after these examples, we're going to stop. And I'll just give you your assignment and let some of you go back to sleep. But here we go. Es terrible que haya una enfermedad tan mala. Enfermedad means illness. So does anyone know what that sentence means? Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Lauren. It's terrible that there's such a bad illness, that there's such a bad sickness. And once again, hopefully everyone shares this opinion that it's terrible that there's an illness that's so bad, but it is opinion based because what's terrible for me might not be terrible for everybody else. Here's another one. Es importante que todos hospedemos en casa. Hospedar means to stay. So what is this one saying? It's important that we all stay at home. Yep, Sophie, that's pretty good. It's important that we all stay at home. This one is opinion based, but it's also trying to influence other people to stay at home. So by saying it's important that, we need the subjunctive because it's the same as giving someone like an indirect command, which would just be stay at home. And you can see that the hospedemos is really, really similar. Actually, it's exactly the same as the nosotros command form. But that's the subjunctive there. And one more. Es necesario que lavemos las manos y no toquemos las caras. Es necesario que lavemos las manos y no toquemos las caras. Can anyone understand any part of that? Yep, so Paxton, that's the first part. It's necessary that we wash our hands, and cara is face. So no toquemos las caras is the second part. Yeah, well, that's exactly it. It's important that we wash our hands and that we don't touch our faces. Okay, so some people are not going to wash their hands and aren't going to touch their faces, which is why it's subjunctive, because those two actions, it's necessary that they happen, or in this test, the touching face part doesn't happen, but we can't guarantee that. So that's why we use a subjunctive there, because it's not certain. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
How much work are we gonna have?
You guys are gonna just have one assignment on Classroom today, and it's probably gonna take you about 15 minutes. It's not too much work. Sophie, I don't think that I gave an example. Let me look at it right now. I don't think that I gave an example.
Can I take a screenshot of that?
Of the notes? I'll put them up for you for sure. But you can, yeah, you can do whatever you need to do.
Okay.
All right, so no, I didn't give any examples. For the first 5 questions that I gave you, you just need to conjugate the verb that I gave you in the subjunctive for the people that I gave you. And in the second part, you have to write sentences using those impersonal phrases, or sorry, impersonal expressions that we just went over. Okay, and the last thing is that you guys absolutely cannot use Google Translate or any other sort of translator. The other thing I want to mention, not to call anybody out by name, but I have noticed that some of you are handing in the exact same assignment as your friend, like with all the same spelling mistakes and everything. It's really important that you all do your own work. If you don't do your own work, you're not going to get credit for the assignments that you do. Okay? So don't use any translators. Use your own brain. If you would need to use a dictionary, you guys can use wordreference.com, which I talk about all the time. If you have questions, you can email me. Also, between 1 and 3, I have office hours, so you could do Google Hangout, and that's kind of like instant messaging. You'll get answers a lot faster that way. Okay, so if there are not any questions, I'm going to let you guys go, and I'll post this video and the notes and your assignment. Okay. Adios.